The Industrial Revolution of the late 1700s heralded massive technological and economic change and growth for the world. Starting in the UK and slowly spreading across the world, it influenced just about every aspect of life in some way. And most of it is because of some very magic stuff called coal. Coal and fossil fuel provided humanity with a cheap and easy energy source. No more manual labour. We developed machinery to do it for us. It's a staggering amount, but over 80% of the world's energy supply is powered by fossil fuels. But the world is in a bit of a conundrum. When we burn fossil fuels for our electricity, loads of carbon dioxide is pumped into the atmosphere. So what do? Do we just shut down all our power stations? Well, we would have a bit of a problem. What is going to produce all our electricity whilst we're waiting for our renewable energy plants to be built? Some people think that there's a new technology to help us in the transition to a low carbon economy. And that technology is called carbon capture and storage. Step 1 is where we capture all that CO2 coming out of our power stations. Step 2 is where we change all that CO2 gas into a liquid by pressurising it. And step 3 is where we put our liquid-like CO2 into pipelines and inject it underground for long-term storage. Now, importantly, there aren't just big holes underground to store the CO2 in. CO2 is going to be stored in old aquifers or reservoir rocks. This is a good example, a sandstone. Basically, it's for any rock that has a high porosity. Now, porosity basically describes the amount of empty space within a rock. If we were to zoom all the way into a reservoir rock, we'd see that it's basically made up of little particles, little grains that have all been squished together. And between all those grains are gaps or empty spaces. If we were to look at a block of sandstone like this, it may look like there aren't lots of empty spaces in it, but some sandstones have up to 20 or 30% of space in them. One place we can store our carbon dioxide is many kilometres underground in a rock formation called an anticline. So an anticline is where our rock layers have all been folded into this type of shape. I want you to imagine that this here is our sandstone or our reservoir rock. All the pebbles are here to represent sand grains within the sandstone, so pretend that you've zoomed all the way in. Now, in between those pebbles, or those sand grains, we've filled it up with a bit of water. On top of our sandstone or reservoir rock, we've got our cap rock. Now, our cap rock acts like a lid and locks everything in underneath. So here is our injection well, and I'm going to pump a source of CO2, my breath, into this underground storage rock. Let's see what happens. So my carbon dioxide, or my breath, is pushing the water out of the rock and is being stored in between those sand grains. The main problem with CCS is that it's really expensive. Billions of dollars have been spent on this technology worldwide, which is a lot of money for something that's still being researched. Wouldn't that money have been better spent on renewable energy? However, one good point is this: whether we like it or not, the world still has loads of coal and gas-fired power stations sitting around. We could, in theory, put those CCS technologies on those old power stations whilst we develop our renewable energies. The arguments for and against CCS could go on for ages, but we just hope that we've made the technology a little bit clearer for you. If you'd like to have your say, please pop onto our website.